explained, the book is titled The Flame of Freedom. Somebody will ask why Flame of Freedom, but that will come toward the end of what I want to say. Now, after the last elections, I decided to spend more time to complete this work. But this is not just a product of the few months since the last elections. It is work that has started earlier, but it remained a work in progress for some time because of obvious reasons, the pressures of work in office. But I started writing this book sometimes when I was still in detention. During my second detention, I was allowed then to get some exercise books to do writing. And I would write, and when I completed the exercise book, then they would take it, and then thereafter they would bring me another one, and then they would go again and do a censor, and then they bring another one, that way, that way. By the time I was released, I'd written close to 50 exercise books. But then, not 50, sorry, 100 exercise books. They took them and told me that they were going to censor and forward to me. But to date, they have never arrived. So it meant that I had basically to start from scratch again. But basically, it's just like other autobiographies. What I've done here is you see my life from the time when I was born, when I was a youth, how I grew up, how I spent my youth, and then how I went to school, and eventually how I finished school, and then how I came back and started working. There's also an experience about my working life at the University of Nairobi, at the Kenya Bureau of Standards, at the company which I started. And then, apart from this working experience, then also the life in detention. And thereafter. So, but what I've tried to do is to also combine it with what was happening in the society at that time. So it's not just a pure autobiography of RailaOdinga, but it's also part of our political history around that time, and events that were taking place as I grew up from the youth through my adult life. As you will know that I grew up in a political family, and at very early, when I was a young boy, there was a lot of politics taking place in Kenya at that time. That was the time when the Mau Mau emergency was declared, and Kenyatta and his colleagues were arrested and then charged at Kapenguria. And one of the Kapenguria 6 was the late Ramogi Chingoneko, who was, until that time, also the company secretary, the company where my father was a managing director. The company was called the Luo Thrift and Trading Corporation. And so Oneko and us also lived in the same block. Then all of a sudden Oneko was not there. We were there with these younger children. We used to play together. The mother used to sometimes give us food. Then all of a sudden he was not there. And these children now had to be removed to rural schools back home. And that's when I came for the first time in contact with politics. So people would gather in our house in the evening and politics would be discussed. My father would be talking about colonialism, and the rule of the white man. Now the white man was very unfair to the black man. How the black people were being deprived of their rights and treated like second-class citizens in their country. So I recorded part of that experience that early. Then the state of emergency was on at that time. There were curfews in the evenings. And my father, of course, had been a member of the Executive Council of the Kenya African Union, CAU. He later on then became involved in politics but I remember an incident where one of those who we call loyalists came to my father after the other people had been arrested. One of the people who was arrested was called Walter Odede. Walter Odede is the wife to Pamela Mboya, who was the wife to Tom Mboya. He had been a nominated member of LEGICO, this is Legislative Council. But he was arrested because as soon as Kenyatta and co were arrested, Odede was then appointed to become the acting president of CAU. So he was also arrested and detained. But he had been a nominated member of parliament. So once he was now taken to detention, now